Well, nothing changes. Narrative continues because, of course, it can. And the Dolphins continue to shoot themselves in the foot. Regarding special teams, defense, and our offense, whatever case, in fact, all the cases, the Dolphins stink. They really stink tonight. I don't care about that late comeback push. They stank. It was too little, too late to make that comeback to try to win to pull this off against the Green Bay Packers. Are you kidding me? So, I mean, what it for the Dolphins? What is there to be said that hasn't been said already? This is minus 40 degrees below. Regarding 40 degrees, anything below that, the Dolphins just can't just play like crap. They just play like crap. No, they didn't play that much crappy, right? Well, I think they're capable. In fact, they did show in the fourth quarter, or actually not even the fourth quarter, but in the third and the fourth quarter alone, they are capable of making some big plays. The problem is, the defense just is getting weird out. They're not making tackles against a pretty against a team like the Packers. And the biggest one here is probably their special teams. The special teams completely flunked the first one. They muffed it. And with the amount of talent that the Dolphins have, and put the injuries aside real quick, the amount of talent that this team has, it's amazing how none of them are mentally even prepared for a game like tonight. It's insanity how it just keeps happening over and over and over. And with no end in sight. The defense started off good. Like I said, it's a 3-and-out. Jordan Love got sacked by Zach Sealer. And I thought it was a fumble, but the arm was going forward, and it ended up being an incomplete pass. There was a punt, which was one of the only punts in the game for the Packers. I think they punted the ball 4 times. This was punted, and Malik Washington muffs it. And then the Packers go for a score. It was Reed for 3 yards. 7-0 right away. Dolphins couldn't respond. They punted. And with 12 plays into that Packers drive, it was mostly a deep pass. It was those plays, and then the running plays with Wilson, Josh Jacobs, and then eventually Josh Jacobs does go up for a yard to make it 14-0 Packers. This drive for the Dolphins, which went through 2 quarters, the end of the first going into the second quarter, they were making good plays. Achane still doing his thing. Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill is actually doing some reps, and Jalen Waddle with a nice catch to get 16 yards out of this one, and Jonnu Smith still playing this really good football, so I'm happy that he's still playing as good as he is. There was a situation with 4th and 4. They were called for delay of game, and then this is when the offense was on the field. 4th and 9 field goal formation, neutral zone infraction for the Packers. So then 4th and 4 again, and then the 16-yard play by Jalen Waddle, pretty good stuff. Still didn't get the touchdown. So Jason Sanders kicked the field goal to make it 14-3. And then 2 punts later, Green Bay goes on a drive and it goes down the field. And of course, Jordan Love, playing as good as he is, nails that 12-yard pass to Reed again for 12 yards. Josh Jacob playing his great football. Watson with 21-yard catch, and all that led up to the 12-yard catch from Reed. Miami goes on their next drive and they turn it over on downs. Tua scrambles for 9 yards. Great. Tua then goes up for 7 yards for a couple of times for Jonnu Smith. And they just couldn't go down afterwards. Incomplete all the time. And then McManus, after that, gets a 46-yard field goal to make it 24-3 halftime. It is 24-3 halftime. They really shoot themselves in the foot here. How does the Dolphins respond coming out? It's because they received the football in the second quarter, 3 and out. Next drive for the Packers, field goal. At least they held them at the 6-yard line, but what good does that do? We're down by 3%, maybe 3 or 4 possessions. And don't worry, this drive is mainly Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs for a yard, Watson for a freaking whopping 46 yards in this drive. Just the fact that there was a defender right in front of him and they could not even make a tackle that let them loose. His longest receiving catch of the season, Watson. Incredible. And it was 3rd and 6 too, so that makes it even worse. But losing yards is Brooks and Reed with a one-handed catch after he scrambles it, after Love would go to the right. Now, this is what so frustrates me, is the fact that this quarterback, Jordan Love, is capable of producing a really good play like he did on that one, and he was still able to get some yards out of this one. If this was Tua, he's sacked immediately, and that is frustrating. I get so frustrated watching other talented players do what Tua can do, but can't. But this is a field goal, so anyway, it didn't matter. Finally, we can talk about this drive with Mostert going up for 26 yards, but that goes back for a fucking penalty. 1st and 8, Jonnu Smith for 13 yards. He fumbles the football, but that rolled out of bounds, thankfully. Mostert goes up for a yard, 2nd and 9 to a short middle for Malik Washington for 8 yards. 3rd and 1, nothing gained from that one. 4th and 1, it's a 4-down territory to a passing for Jonnu Smith for 16 yards. Cool. Once again, Jalen Waddle this time for 16 yards. And then at the Green Bay 14, Tua passing to Achane, and Achane goes in for the touchdown. So we do get a touchdown at least, so that's if there's any consolation. But they elected to go for 2. And Jalen Waddle with the amazing catch on the right side to get this football, and the attempt was a successful one. They get a 2-point conversion to make this a 27-11 game. Okay, not bad. Now, what does the Dolphins defense do? They held them, and then the Packers punted the football away. This long drive for the Dolphins, Tua for short middle for Tyreek Hill. And then Mostert for left. That ends the third quarter, going into the fourth. There was an encroachment that goes up 3rd and 2. Tua's pass for Achane for 3 yards. 1st and 10. Tyreek Hill gets 24 yards out of this one. That's amazing. 1st and 10. Achane goes up for a yard. 2nd and 9. Pass off for Achane. 3rd and 6 now. Beckham finally gets a big play with 9 yards. 1st down. And then Tua's passing it to Waddle for 12 yards. Now they're at the 9. Achane almost getting a touchdown. And what happens then? Achane got nothing. 3rd and goal, incomplete. And then Tua gets sacked. And we left that drive with nothing. And, of course, the Packers start at their own 7. And then they will go all the way at the Miami 15. There was a fumble, but it was ruled incomplete because it was a forward pass at 1st and 10. There was Neal would pick up the football and to the house, but that was incomplete, and it was incomplete. It was incomplete, unfortunately. I would have loved it if it wasn't, but it was. And then I don't want to talk penalties because penalties were not much of a major difference talking points because it just doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Okay, it doesn't matter because we're down many points anyway. Now all this, McManus kicks a 33-yard field goal to make it a 30-11 game. Dolphins next drive, though, Tua gets sacked first, which was, of course. Second and 17, pass into Achane for 8 yards. Okay, and 39, Tua's pass short middle for Tyreek Hill for 30 yards. Okay. Now, what does they do? Incomplete short from Malik Washington's. Tua's pass short middle for Waddle for 9 yards. 3rd and 1, John Smith for 15 yards. And 1st and 10, Tua's pass to Tyreek Hill, which was actually intended for John Smith, but it was a defensive play that ricocheted into the hands of Tyreek Hill, and it was a really good concentration. And Tyreek Hill had a really good concentrating day with Tua. He gets a touchdown for 12 yards. They elected to go for 2, and Mostert could not get the ball as he was smothered by the defense. So it became a 30-17 game for the rest of the game. 3 and out in this drive for the Packers. There was some complaining that Watson was interfered with early, and I would have said, tough shit. You've been getting a lot of calls in this game, and you can accept just one missed call. That's how I look at it. But in the end, it just didn't matter. It just didn't matter because the Dolphins lose this game 17-30. This is a quick breeze through. I don't want to talk about this game as much no more. The team stats, total, 375 yards for the Dolphins in total, 388 for the Packers, 336 passing for the Dolphins, 274 for the Packers in terms of passing. The key difference is the rushing, especially with Josh Jacobs and Reed. They got 114 yards at this one. Meanwhile, we only had 39 in the entire game. It's unacceptable. Penalties, 10 flipping penalties in this game for the Dolphins. The Packers had 7 penalties with 44 yards. We have 10 with 75. We lost the football, which was that muff from the very first error in the special teams. I think that's what really hurt our chances to get something in, and it's just the same. We have the talent, and they're just mentally unprepared. They're just unprepared to play in big games like this. I don't think it's going to change anytime soon. You know, we have one game that really stands out, and that's the Houston Texans. The 49ers game might be closer than this, especially if it's going to be a Hard Rock. But you got other 2 games in cold temperature games that the Dolphins are probably going to struggle with too. So, I don't know. I'm done talking about this. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. I hope you guys had a pleasant day. And, you know, because screw the Dolphins. They're just gonna break your heart anyway. And I don't think the game was entertaining at all. I think the game was slow, sloppy, and they did this to themselves. What else could I say? They did this to themselves. They're hurting themselves by letting this happen on a lot of occasions, and their special teams are just absolutely horrendous, especially when they muff the football at the very first punt of the game. So, anyway, I'm done talking about this. Packers fans, I know you're watching. Good game. You deserve this. We don't deserve shit. So, anyway, that's going to do it for this one. If you have enjoyed this video, hit the like button, subscribe for content, because Miami TVG is back. When he does, have it right there with the fear team you deserve. This is Miami TVG. Sign out, folks. Good night.